Hey, everybody on Facebook. Charles McFall with the EMS Underground, and there is... Do you remember? You've done it?
Tom Camplain, of course.
Oh, God, it's so crazy how cameras and lighting and stuff work. We're in the same room, and he is bright and I'm dark, and it's just... It's because I grew up poor in the hood.
Well, it's that forehead of mine. Apparently, you got it like shining off of me. I need makeup. Where's makeup?
Where's your makeup? So hey, this is EMS Underground. This is the Ask Us Anything, and of course, if you see us messing on our phones and tablets, it's because we're connecting right into Facebook to get your questions, and we want to see those likes, the hearts, the happy faces. No angry faces. I hate seeing the angry face. I've had some people mess with me on other videos and hit the angry face, and it's no, don't do that. But Tom, you had something go on today. Today was supposed to be set up for National Registry or something.
Yeah.
And it got canceled, and you wanted to just do a community concern kind of deal.
Yeah. As most people know, that we were supposed to have a National Registry on Saturday, April 8th, and one thing you have to understand is that the National Registry actually sends us someone here to monitor and kind of run the registry. They send a representative. Well, the representative that was coming has had a family emergency. He's had one of their children has fallen extremely ill and is being life-flighted to another hospital for a higher level of care. He's extremely ill. So let's have all our prayers go out to them right now. Pray for them to have healing hands and comfort brought upon their family. I know it's going to impact quite a bit of our students this weekend who was wanting to test this weekend for the National Registry. Just know that we're working with the registry to get an alternate exam date as soon as possible. So I'm looking to have hopefully a date or something set as a makeup exam, hopefully by Tuesday or Wednesday of next week.
So, but the biggest thing you want to say was, thoughts and prayers go out to them,
yeah.
So on and so forth. So we were planning for the future. Tom and I got really excited. We're talking about future stuff, and we forgot to come up with exactly what we were talking about today. Last week was good. Last week we talked about the whole weapons bill. Has there been any movement? I know the cannabis thing got voted on.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything on it, and I was going off what somebody had told me, and I can't find a lot of factual information about it being in there right now. They're supposed to be sending me the links and stuff to it, but I don't really know where it is or anything like that. I just know we had a very good conversation based on our opinions about it.
True. True. Well, I mean, it was a good theoretical conversation. So that's always fun. And then there was something else we talked about that we said we might come back. I guess we could have looked at the video before we started today. Something that does come to mind. EMS will give you a different light on life, right? I'll give you a different view on life. I mean, just the basic of life and death, right? It's before I was an EMT or paramedic, I would get so wound up on things. So, it's got to be this way. Oh my God, the world's going to end, because our worlds are what we experience,
right?
And if I didn't get somewhere on time, I was very pissed off. And then after I was a paramedic, I found that I changed. It became more of I'll get there when I get there, because that's something you really realize over and over. The sirens and the lights are just hey, could you move for a second, please? And it does get you there faster, but I might be making this up. But I'm pretty sure when I went through SIVO 2. SIVO 2, thank you. I never went to EVOC. I wanted to. I wanted to do the skid pad and all that stuff. I never got to do that. But SIVO 2, I'm pretty sure studies have shown that lights and sirens minimally shave off time. It is your best route. If you can get that straight line going, that's what you want. But in reality, it's not like you cut off 10 minutes in a 5-mile run. Physics still are in play. And if it's 3 miles away, in a city, you're not going to be doing 60 miles an hour. So you're not going to get there in 3 minutes, period. So I was thinking about that, thinking about how I changed from, we tried to start this at 2:30. We started it a little after 3 today. And that was mostly my fault because I had stuff pop up at the last minute I had to go do. What about you, Tom? You went to the military pretty early, so I'm not sure where your changes might be. But have you found that you're more relaxed about things after being a medic?
I think I'm a little more relaxed. I know, like, when I was in the military, I was extremely anal about being on time because in the military, if you're not 5 minutes early, you're late.
Right.
And I think, too, it depends on what you're talking about. Like, being a medic, like when I worked at Emory Flight or anywhere I've worked, I've always tried my best to be at work on early. When I worked at Emory Flight, it was a requirement to be at work 15 minutes early before your shift.
Okay.
That was a requirement. We fought over that because we wouldn't get paid for that 15 minutes, but I understood it too. If we were there working, we got paid, but if we were just there, chilling, talking, we didn't get paid. But, they wasn't too harsh on that either. So, I feel like being to work on time is extremely important because if I'm 5 or 10 minutes late for my shift on the ambulance and that crew has to run a call for me, they could be going to Augusta. I mean, they go out on a burn patient.
Mm-hmm,
Next thing you know, this guy, he needed to be off because he had a parent-teacher conference or something that he planned on his day off, which he should be able to do. But because I was late, now he's running a call and he's having to go to Augusta and he's not going to be home till afternoon now.
Yeah.
It could be something like, could be an ultrasound for his baby, could be, whatever.
Let me ask you along those lines. And my experience with this particular scenario, we're in country stations, a little bit more laid back rural areas. Anyway, what do you think about a medic delaying a response to a call because their relief is 2 minutes out, 3 minutes out, 5 minutes out?
That's a slippery slope.
Right?
That is such a slippery slope. Because
transport's not in this scenario. I'm talking about 911 calls.
911 call, I do not approve of it. Because I've ran too many 911 calls that came out as an invalid assist, and it was a cardiac arrest. Or I've gone out on the seizure that was actually a cardiac arrest. Or the fall that was a cardiac arrest. So, I mean, I don't see holding a 911 call.
I never passed judgment on those who did. And then immediately, tones drop, they're immediately texting the relief that's coming in, where are you, what's going on? Right. And it can be, 5 minutes till shift change, 15 minutes till shift change. And I always did try to get there a little bit early for shift change to help prevent that. I've never been one to delay a call. I've always appreciated the smokers I've worked with. The tones drop, they'll sleep mostly in their uniform. So they can go out, light that cigarette. Well, I'm getting dressed, which is a natural thing in the middle of the night. Nobody that I know requires you to sleep in a uniform. And so the time that I would spend getting my uniform on, they're smoking, haven't slept in theirs. And by the time I'm on the truck, they're ready to go. Right. I've always appreciated, there's one or two I hated that they were more senior than me, and we'd go light the cigarette. I'm like, I'm in the truck. We're supposed to go. You don't really know. There is a balance. One of the things I found was, as long as our intentions are right, we always do the right thing in the right time, and we might learn something later that will improve on that. But we do the best we can with what we have. I have been known that as I started to pull out, it was shift change in this particular station was 9 o'clock, and it was 8:55. It's still my shift. Maybe 8:50, 8:45. Still my shift. And I'm in drive, and I'm pulling out of the station because I always pull out slowly. You can mess up so many things.
Exactly.
If you peel out. And it was a nice long driveway anyway. So I'm pulling out, and actually both of our reliefs came pulling in early. And we stopped for less than 30 seconds, and they said, hey, we'll take the call. And we jumped out, they jumped in. And there was no delay. We were actually going to take it. Right.
I don't see anything at all wrong with that.
And I wasn't going to be mad, because especially in Morgan County, you're going to Athens or Conyers. Your calls there, unless it's a refusal, you're looking at an hour turnaround, no matter what. Even with the refusal, it's 30 to 45 minutes. But going back to the red lights and sirens, because Barb asked this, I believe, what do you think about using lights and sirens? I think in certain situations it's absolutely imperative. 138 I-20 in Conyers is horrible. That's part of the reason I was late today. Was I came up the side road, was at the light to turn, and of course everything's going back and forth. And they have a big box painted now. The big box that says "Do not block the box." That hasn't helped anything there. I know they have cameras that take pictures and send you tickets in the mail. That hasn't helped anything there. I don't know if that was live, but you've talked about getting caught blocking the box and how the cop just went and ticketed everybody. So I'm sitting there at the light, and only one car back from the line was blocking the box, and I get the turn light, and I'm waiting because I don't want to. I hate when people pull out and block things, and all I need to do is go around and get on I-20, and it was not moving. And so when I saw it started to pull up, somebody ran their light because they were in the turn lane to go towards me. Decided they're in the wrong lane, so they cut in, and now I'm blocked. So I ended up going straight, and that's where red lights and sirens, because our society is when it comes to driving, everywhere. Everybody goes, "Oh, this state's worse than that state. This area's worse than that area." And I've seen some things that are pretty bad, but in all areas. But as a society, as a driving society, we suck. We're horrible. We're very inconsiderate, very selfish, and that's why these wrecks happen.
Dude, I've driven in foreign countries.
I've ridden in foreign countries. I haven't actually driven.
Yeah, I drove in Korea, and it was bad. Signs and lights were recommendations.
Yeah?
Over there.
So I've been to Israel, and it was more.
I was in a bigger truck than anybody.
Right.
So I was pretty safe. But I'd see some of the crazy stuff.
I've seen videos like in Thailand and stuff where they're propped up on a motorcycle, feet propped up on the handlebars, reading a paper, just going down the road.
Yeah.
And it works somehow.
Yeah, people died there too. I've seen
okay, I'm sure plenty
of lot of people
die there.
But yeah, I think lights and sirens are essential given the situation. I remember the day when we worked here. And we had to respond lights to sirens to everything.
Yeah.
I hated that.
Yeah.
But we had to, because sure enough, if we didn't and we got there and it was a cardiac arrest.
When you go out here to that assisted living place right here on the corner, Armored Heights or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Arkham Asylum, I don't know. But it's always it'd be a fall assist, but we would go lights and sirens because there's almost never just a fall assist.
Right.
Because it's a senior living
you never know. But now they use priority dispatch, from what I understand, and now they're actually now they're actually prioritizing. So we're not running lights and sirens to everything.
That's an EMT level, isn't it? EMTD is dispatcher, or it used to be, right? A certification. EMD. Okay.
Yeah, you don't have
Emergency
to
medical
EMT.
Dispatcher.
Yeah.
And I learned about this a little bit when I was in Conyers, that you got that certification so you know how to prioritize dispatches, and they weren't doing that in Newton
for a while. But now, from what I understand, they are, which I think is good. That helps a lot, because we don't need to run lights and sirens to a nausea and vomiting that's been going on for an hour, or a toe pain or a sprained ankle or something like that, because we're putting the public at risk every time we run lights and sirens.
And ourselves.
Yeah. Well, we're part of the public too. So.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But we're putting everybody at risk. And it's like a drug to me. It's like, you got to weigh the risk and benefits of it to it. So if the risk outweigh the benefits, then don't do it. But if the benefits outweigh the risk, then do it.
Do you teach CVO too as part of the EMT course?
No, that's the employer responsibility.
Man, because that would be I got to tell you, understanding some of those principles I learned in those videos, and practicing the driving was fun. And I mean, it always is fun doing obstacle courses, those kind of things. But the principles I learned in the videos changed my perception, because I was looking at. We'll get to Brent's comment here in a second. Brent talking about being a rookie, and it seems fun. I got some stories on that, but. If you could teach those principles in basic EMT, I mean, it's driver school anyway, right? Basic EMT. And now I've just offended all the EMT basics.
Now people are throwing stuff.
I don't feel that way.
Just say ambulance driver, and then everybody.
I know, right? I got so mad when somebody called me that as an EMT, and I was like, "Does it look like a steering wheel?" I was being a smart But and I looked at my patch, and of course it is a circle. Oh, never mind. You know.
Oh, I've gotten into it with nurses before. You know, you'd be sitting there and they'll say, well, call the ambulance drivers. And I'd be like, excuse me? Well, how would you like it if we called you a butt wiper or bedpan changer?
Yeah.
You know, that's just one aspect of what we do, you know.
Or a doctor's lackeys.
Exactly.
All the nurses in the world is tuned out to this video.
Yeah. You know,
share if you think nurses are doctors lackeys. No, I'm just kidding.
No, we love nurses. Matter of fact,
it's all a family. It's all a team.
I'm married to one, so
yeah.
But we love them. We all work together well and stuff.
That is something I did appreciate about Newton ER, and I don't know if it's because the ambulance service was attached to the hospital. But when I walked in as a new person, as a new employee to the ambulance service, and even as in Conyers when it sometimes would come, or Morgan County when it come, they are much more receptive than even our home-based hospitals, which really frustrated me.
Newton, the nurses here always treat us really good with a lot of dignity and respect. We were part of the team.
And the doctors were never afraid to get on the radio.
Yeah. They did too. I mean, I really enjoyed that part.
Yeah.
You know. But I think like lights and sirens can be overused. I think there's a time and place for it.
I'll turn them off if it's annoying. Okay, so Brent's on about going through clinicals, he'll find out, but no one pulling over would be frustrating. I was in a fly-by-night service, but nobody knows that. I mean, they just see ambulances, see lights and sirens. They don't know levels of service. I was in a fly-by-night service. We got a backup 911 call in Atlanta on North Side. And we had the red light. Lights and sirens were at the red light. Cross traffic never stopped. Not once. We had to wait till the green light. So we turned off the siren, left the lights on just in case somebody got smart and stopped for us. But it's annoying. You're sitting next to somebody and blasting them, and it's not making a difference. And that blew my mind. I mean, that was my first job ever. Wet behind the ears, rookie EMT, and I'm hyped up, and I'm got my gloves on 10 minutes before we get to the call, and people aren't stopping. It's like, what's going on?
You know, one thing that goes to point two is that someone, you know, that's when you wish a police officer was there to tag a few of them. But I was reading a posting. There's a thing called the Taxpayer Watchdog Group or something out of Jasper County.
Don't get me started on that. Yes, they were a mess. And go ahead.
And they were harping on some of the police officers, you know, driving, you know, too fast and, you know, and stuff like that, and not being on a call and just driving.
Well, you never know if they're on a call or not. That's the thing. You don't.
Yeah, but the law says you have to have your lights and sirens on.
Well, yeah, okay, good point. Now, the Watchdog Group got a lot of things wrong. Because I lived there for many, many years, and I thought, this is a good thing, citizens. And then I realized very quickly it wasn't a citizen thing. I mean, it was a citizen. But it was very politically motivated, and she ultimately ran for commissioner and got it, and it caused lots of problems. You're right. I was coming home the other day on I-20 from Atlanta, and I'm in the fast lane, and it was posted 55, and at some point it does change to 70. I was doing about 75, and actually no, whatever was posted, I was doing under 10 over because I have a person. Technically speaking, and this is what everybody who needs to understand, EMTs alike, you cops alike, the limit's the limit. You go one over, technically you can get pulled over for that.
Yes,
but in Georgia at least, there's a pretty relaxed. Most officers, unless they're noticing trouble or looking for trouble or you're causing trouble, they'll give you 5 to 10 over and not worry about it because they go with the flow of traffic. And traffic was all flowing. I set my cruise control, so I was doing about 8 over, whatever is posted. Let's say 65, I was doing 72. And I saw a cop behind me. And I didn't freak out. I'm like, I'm within the range. If he wants to pull me over, fine. I'll take the ticket. I'll go. Well, he's right there, and we're all in the flow of traffic. Everybody's kind of going the same speed, but there's room for him to get over. And I typically don't move out of the way on the fast lane if I'm doing over the speed limit. Sometimes I do, but this cop was sitting behind me. I'm all right, we're going, whatever. And he goes, boop, boop. He hits me with that little beep siren. I was like, okay.
I'm not sure how to help with that yet.
Thank you, Siri. We appreciate you.
That was Alexa. She's going to get mad.
Oh, Alexa, my bad. That was funny. So I'm thinking, what do I do here? Because I thought about fighting the good fight, but what would that get me? And I'm in a car and he's in a car. How do you do that at 80 miles an hour? So like, okay, fine. I put on my blinker, I move over, and he goes on past me, and we're both going to the same place. It's a Rockdale officer. And like, you have no jurisdiction where we are. You're now breaking the law. And it never, and going back to what I said about what I've learned about life, of I'll get there when I get there, let's be safe, let's be good. There's never a sense to rush, because when you're rushing, you make a bad decision. You are not that important. And I'm saying that to every you that's listening. You are not that important. There might be calls waiting for you. You'll get there when you get there. There might be shift change waiting. You'll get there when you get there. I'm running a 2-ambulance county, and we both have to go out of the county. They would send, the Rockdale and Morgan are tied together with National. They'd send somebody to stage. If it was one ambulance out, they'd send somebody maybe halfway if they had to, where they could respond and be quick about it. But sometimes they send somebody into town, whatever. It depends on the situation. And they need to get back to their area or whatever. It's a Sunday afternoon. You're a detective's car, because it wasn't a blue and white or whatever colors Rockdale is. It was a unmarked police, but they had the radios and they had the, I mean, it's a little bit obvious, but it's not painted Rockdale County Sheriff or Rockdale whatever. It just was a Rockdale government tag on it. It's like, there's nothing that important that you've got to light me up to get me to move so you can do 90 now. Mm-hmm. And have you ever got anybody in trouble for that? Because I know I've had a partner get in trouble on the ambulance. We did a long run, and they would get on the microphone, the PA, and be like, oh, this one medic, she ultimately got fired, but she got on the PA system and said the speed limit is a recommendation and not something else, whatever. Basically yelled at the people on the PA to get out of her way so she could drive faster. No lights, no sirens. It's a non-emergency transport. Or they're even coming back home from a long-term transport. It's like, that's bad juju, man. That's You're breaking the law. And you can get pulled over. And your ambulance can get impounded.
Yep.
I mean, honestly, I'll be honest. As a human being, as a medic, I'd be pissed. I got pulled over once in an ambulance. I got pissed at the guy who did it. But technically, I wasn't going that fast. I was going about 10 over the limit and came over a hill and he saw me. But I could justify it, but I did break the law. But I was mad that he pulled me over. For the longest time, I justified the right that I had to drive fast. But I was just going into town. That's all I was doing. I wasn't going to a call. I wasn't backing anybody up.
Yeah.
You know?
That's, but that goes to show, too, like going in to do regard and stuff, because even though you got your lights and sirens, you're in an ambulance, you're in a police car or fire truck, if you're breaking the law and you're in an accident, you're kind of held at a higher level.
No, you are. Not kind of, you are.
Because you're a professional. If
you are licensed sirens and you're in an accident, there's criminal time there. If it's your fault.
Yep, it can be.
Yeah.
You can get in a lot of trouble.
Absolutely. We're good. Go ahead.
Oops.
You're here now.
You want to come and be on TV?
I've got pretty faces.
Yeah.
Yeah, come over here and say hello to everybody. Brian is too embarrassed to say hello to everybody.
Yes, I am.
Is this the other Brian Johnson?
Yes, that's the other Brian Johnson. I'm going to
step away
for a second.
Tom said you're not the good enough Brian Johnson. I'm just saying. That was him. I didn't say that, though.
Hey, this is live, real-time stuff here. I'm going to step away for a second, print something, sign it, and I'll be right back.
Right. So I will carry
on. My time is awful every time.
So it is definitely an interesting thing. Brent, going back to talking about being a rookie and it seems fun. Oh, yeah, it kind of is. But the thing that you do have to takes the fun away very, very quickly is they call them jackrabbits. People who would see you, they'd stop, and all of a sudden they shoot out in front of you. I've never experienced it, but I've seen people who seem like they were going to do that. I've had partners who've said they've had to slam on the brakes. Lights and sirens amp up your adrenaline. They get you more hyped up. And I've had too many times where partners have slammed on the brakes. I think I've done it once or twice. Not in order to avoid hitting somebody, but in order to, oh crap, that's our address. You know, at night especially, I will turn the siren off if there's nobody in front of me. I think there's a statute in Georgia that says if you have lights on, you have to have sirens on. Mm-hmm. I willfully ignored that a lot. Because in the middle of the night, especially in the countryside where there are no cars out after 10 p.m., what's the point in upsetting everybody? You know, the siren is supposed to be asking people to get out of your way. There's nobody to ask. The lights are there because they're pretty. You know, I guess I could have turned the lights off as well. You know, there's so many different levels to it. I tell you one thing it took away. After I got used to driving lights and sirens and the drilling wore off and realized that it's more of a target than a help, in my opinion, most of the time. Once I went to Six Flags, I used to love riding the Ninja. That one was called something Ninja. I used to love riding that roller coaster. And I got on it for the first time after working about 6 months as an EMT and doing the lights and sirens and learning how to drive, emergency driving. And I get on that roller coaster, and it's boring. There was no excitement to it. So I was like, "Woo, all right, we're going." But this isn't hitting my adrenaline. This isn't giving me the adrenaline rush it used to give me. And it did. It took away that kind of adrenaline rush. I actually haven't been back on a roller coaster since because it's not something I do with small kids. And after a while of being away from it, I had small children. But then it's also, I don't know. I don't know if the rush will be there. I'm going to ask Tom when he comes back about it. But I would have to say, I don't know. I'm torn. I mean, definitely in congested areas, lights and sirens help get you past what would take you 20 minutes to get past the light. You can do it in a minute. That is definitely necessary. Neighborhoods where people pull in the ambulance and the fire truck turns off their sirens, but they still have the lights on. It's everybody stands around and looks at your house and wonder what's going on inside the house and those kind of things. I don't know. I see my wife joined in. She hopefully gave a thumbs up there for a second. What are your questions? I mean, this is Ask Us Anything. You can ask us any kind of question. I know a lot of people talk about test anxiety. We've gone over that a few different times. What to expect on your first day. Nobody's asked us yet, but what to expect on your first day as a EMT fresh out of school is a whole lot of shut up and listen. That's what you should expect on your first day. I mean, it definitely varies from service to service. The good services will make you ride, even after doing clinicals with them, if you did it, or any of that. Good service will make you ride 8, 16, 21 hours, 3 shifts, 3 8-hour shifts. They'll make you ride third rider to get you accustomed to what they're doing. The great services will have a sit-down class for a day to go over protocols, to walk you through the truck, to show you where everything's laid out, you know, to introduce you to people and let you see what's going on. Thanks, Laura. Laura DePuter is a long-time person I've interacted with, and she's watching today, and she says she is thankful to be where people pull over. I think most of the time, even in Atlanta, most of the time people will pull over. Sometimes you have to make a judgment call, and I've actually seen people make good judgment calls. And by that I mean if there's a concrete median on the left-hand side, ambulances are supposed to pass to the left, you're supposed to pull to the right. But I've seen a lot of great judgment calls where the citizens, the right lane pulled right, left lane pulled left, making a center lane where the ambulance could go down slowly. And that's been great. But definitely, going back to being a new EMT or medic to any kind of company, you should always do the shut up and listen thing. You may be knowledgeable in your skills, you may be experienced in what you've done, but you always have to learn the new area and how things go. You know, this whole National Registry thing, you're supposed to be able to go to any state with National Registry and either challenge a test or get reciprocity or those kind of things. But I was in Chicago last summer, and you were talking about the way people drive. I mean, it was very aggressive. Downtown Chicago, it was very aggressive. It was a very different world than what I'm used to. Georgia, man, they are serious about their crosswalks. They have stop signs out for the crosswalks. It's a big deal. If you don't stop for somebody in a crosswalk, it is huge. And in Chicago, I was at a major intersection. It's downtown, across from the Tribune. There's a bunch of major hotels. And so they have crosswalk lights and this and that. And I saw this taxi cab. He was a car behind. So the car in front was doing what they're supposed to do. They're waiting to turn for people to cross the crosswalk. And the cab was behind, just laying on horn. Finally, he pulled out into oncoming traffic, cut people off to sit at the crosswalk and lay on his horn for people to cross. That's something I've never seen in the South. And that's something you would have to put up with as an ambulance driver, and a fire truck operator, or a police. I mean, somebody who's driving the vehicle. Obviously, I'm not picking on EOTs. Laura Pooter says, I definitely will pull left if I'm already on that side, but I don't want to dart in front of an ambulance. Oof. You got to see where they're coming from. That's the biggest thing. And what you respond to, Tom, is what I was saying about, in some places, more downtown Atlanta than anywhere else I've seen it, where there's a median, a concrete or other median that does not allow for vehicles. I've seen a left lane pull left and a right lane pull right, giving the ambulance the middle. They made a middle lane for the ambulance to get through. It's a tough situation. It really is. The worst part about being in a personal vehicle is I've pulled over off the side of the road to let an ambulance pass, and then everybody tailgates the ambulance. And it took me 10 minutes to get back on the road. That's not right. That should also be part of the protocol is, hey, pull over if an ambulance is coming behind you. But also, if you're behind the ambulance, let people back in.
Exactly.
You know? Let's see. Brent says, that's my home city. Chi-Town is driving using hand gestures. Yeah. Oh, and that's the other thing, Brent, is they're serious about their tickets. And that's my thing. I don't want to pay a ticket. But apparently, there's plenty of people in Chicago who don't care. Because they had I was walking, because I had flown there, and we were there for a conference, me and my buddies, and we were walking a couple blocks down to go see a movie. And I kept noticing this flashing light. And that always catches my attention, is any kind of flash. It's a bright flashing light. I thought maybe it's metal, something glinting. And I finally realized it's a traffic cam. It's a traffic cam with a flash, so you know you're getting ticketed. And on a traffic cam is a huge sign that I could read from a block away that says, speed limit is 25 miles per hour. All violators will be ticketed. And that thing was just going off like nobody's business. And people just like, holy cow, does nobody care that they're getting tickets in the mail and they have to pay them?
Wow.
You know, I mean, and it might have been flashing at 26. I don't know. I mean, it could have been flashing at 35. To the eye, it doesn't seem like there was that much traffic and they were going that fast. But to the scientific machine, they were breaking the law. And Chicago was on top of that. And people, they didn't care. Yeah, not every car, but there was. I mean, the time it took me to walk the 2 blocks and turn the corner, I was like, "Holy crap! That's at least 10 cars ticketed." You know,
road tax. Yeah.
Yeah. Laura says people in Athens try to be so polite that they will let the mergers in. The travel lane becomes the ones merging with the ones coming in. Is that which Athens is that? Tell me roughly. I think she might be in Athens, Georgia.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting because
a lot of places around, you know, I've driven in some places where, you know, it's like I couldn't live there. I mean, I can imagine what it's like in Atlanta right now. I'm like, thank goodness that I don't work in Atlanta. You know? You
get used to Atlanta, and honestly, that's an interesting thing. That's why I try not to judge bad drivers in other places, is you get used to your environment. And while I-85 being crashed is, I'm sure, affecting a lot of side streets, ultimately you'll get used to that too, and it flows okay. And there are different ways. If you use GPS, there are different ways to get around. But on a regular day, there's ways to get around the major traffic. You just got to learn the side streets. And I drive down there with Lyft all the time. And it took me a while. Once I got used to it, I was like, oh, okay, this isn't bad at all. I mean, I know if I get stuck here, I just shoot over 2 blocks, and because I'm not going where everybody's going. And that is the problem. We get used to our habits. And let's talk about habits in EMS in a second. But you get used to your habits, so you go, okay, I go into work this way and out this way every day, and I commute in. Well, everybody gets in that habit, and then you just get used to sitting on 316. This is my story. Is I used to get off at Northside at that ambulance service. I get off at 5 p.m. And the way to get home to Athens, Georgia, where I lived at the time, was I had to go to get to 316. And I would spend 2 hours to go 5 miles because it was just stopped. But what about EMS habits? What are some of the we're talking about driving and license hours today. What are some of the good habits you developed in driving?
Paying attention, anticipating what other people do. One of my best habits, I guess, is I increase my following distances and I always have a cushion around me, even when I'm driving my POV.
Yeah. But you've seen the flip side of that, right? Where people drive their personal vehicle. POV is personal operating vehicle. Where they drive their personal vehicle way worse than they ever did before. That drives me crazy. I went to school, to paramedic school, with a guy who ended up applying to and being accepted to Gwinnett Fire while I was in paramedic school. And he was all up on it, this and that. Well, me and his wife and my wife, all of us were friends, and we'd go places. We went downtown Atlanta with him one day in a truck, and he was one of those smash the gas, smash the brakes. And even his wife's fussing at him. And I'm sitting there going, you're a paramedic. You're about to be a paramedic. I can't remember if we'd all graduated at the time or not and passed. But ultimately, he did become a paramedic. He became a firefighter. I don't know what he's doing now. But I was thinking, holy crap. I mean, you have even extra driver training being with Gwinnett Fire. And this is how you drive your big truck that has mass and velocity to it. I thought for sure we were going to die that day. And we didn't, obviously. Or maybe we did. You don't know. But
yeah, I see Laura there. She's got a couple points there about how it makes sense if an emergency vehicle's coming and let them in. Yeah, you should. I mean, the Lights and Sirens is asking for permission. We can't take it.
Right.
However, it should be expected that you should yield. You're supposed to yield, but we can't take the right of way. But you're supposed to give us the right of way.
Yeah.
However,
and
I think
Athens is different, being a college town. I mean, game day, it's difficult. Yeah.
But I think that as far as driving, she's also got another point here. But me in the travel lane, I should not slow down or speed up so the person coming in can make it. They should adjust. Isn't that how merging works? And I kind of agree a little bit with that, but I think we all need to be courteous. Just because, like, you're driving, if you're driving and somebody's trying to get over, and you can let them over, let them get over,
So that is something I've learned driving in Atlanta, and something I've put out there is I find if I let people out, I tend through my day to find people letting me in and out as I need to merge. And you do hear about this wreck and that wreck. Well, if you understand the inordinate amount of people who move through Atlanta every day, especially during the rush hours of morning and afternoon, the statistical wrecks are phenomenally low. And that's because there's two. I say this to people in my car. I said there's two kind of people who drive in Atlanta: those who hit the gas and those who hit the brakes. And then there's this thing called the Atlanta Merge, and we'll talk about that for a second. But I think this applies to life. Is if you put on your blinker and you're trying to go, they'll slow down a little bit, not a ton usually. Some jerks will speed up and block you, and that's whatever. But they'll slow down a little bit. But if you hit the gas, there's plenty of room. Just go. Just take that opportunity. Put that energy out there. And the same for me. If I see somebody come in, I'll let off the gas. I won't hit the brakes. I'll let off the gas, and hopefully they'll merge. And then the Atlanta merge is you start to go over, and they can't be in the middle of your car. But let's say there's just barely enough room to go, or you're dead stopped and you need to go. You just put your nose in there, and they'll let you in, and you let somebody else in who does that, and that's how things move. It's when we start fighting. I'm not saying Laura does this, but I'm saying when we as a society start fighting, start saying, no, I'm more important, and I've got to get this thing. Dude, at Christmas time, I can't tell you how many times I was driving like you're talking about. I still keep that paramedic skill up. I'm always looking around. I'm looking 3 cars ahead. Let's see what's going on. And I can't tell you how many times somebody came behind me, flashing their bright lights on a country road, and then go around me to only half a mile up, turn into their neighborhood. That was so important. You don't know me. I can be on the edge of ready to kill anybody. That's what road rage is, right? And we don't hear about it too much anymore, but that's what road rage was, is you're built up with all this frustration, now you're taking it out on the people on the road. But you came up on me, tailgated me, flashed your lights because you're somehow more important than I am. I could be on the verge. You don't. I mean, that's the thing I always try to tell my kids. I definitely try to tell my wife for a while. Like, you don't know. There's no reason to flip people off. There's no reason to fake your car at them.
Yeah, you don't know what their day's like.
Right.
Or what's going on with them.
I mean, obviously, I'm very much not that person right now who would shoot somebody. But things can change. You never know. I had a guy on I-20, I think it was. I'm in the fast lane going. All of a sudden, he comes over. I mean, he cuts me off intentionally. I had to slam on the brakes, honk at him. And, I mean, that instinct kicks in where you save yourself. But mine, a half second later, I should have let him hit me. Because it would have been obvious.
Right.
But who knows what would have happened? Would I have died? I don't know. And then he kept slamming on his brakes and blocking me. I'm like, here's what I decided to do. I said, okay, good. You taught me a lesson. How does that help your day? And then I wasn't angry for the day and finally was able to get over and move on. But I don't know what his problem was. But there was multiple ways to handle it. And so when you talk about merging, bringing it back to it, Laura, sure, merging works that way. But if you give a little bit of room, give a little bit of what you'd want from somebody else, hey, thanks, that's nice. You know? Yeah. Now, I'm not talking about the person who cuts you off 2 lanes to go opposite of you. You know, you're sitting like this, and then they wave at you like you let them out. It's like, I didn't let you out. You cut everybody off and stop traffic. Mm-hmm. But that's a lot of me telling stories. What do you got, Tom?
Well, Laura's right. You shouldn't have to slow down 10 to 20 miles an hour to let other people.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the person who hits the brakes, right?
Yeah.
They didn't take their opportunity. They didn't hit the gas.
Yeah.
You've got to go where the door's open. You can't just, I'm going to stop and wait. Then you're going to die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's you just got to be very mindful about everything going on around you. If you've got the time to let somebody go, and I'm talking about just let your foot off the gas and let them go in, not having to slow down. And then,
everybody's working together. Yeah.
But you do have a lot of people out there, especially like when you're in the ambulance, you're going lights and sirens. They don't want to get out of your way. And I used to always say this because I've been behind people and I've got my lights on, my sirens on. They're going down the road. They will not pull over.
Yeah.
And I can't get around them. And
it takes a lot of expended energy to make that truck go faster than that little car.
And I'm like, it's going to be sad one day. Somebody like that's going to be going down the road thinking they're so important, like, you know what, I'm not moving over or whatever. And they're going to pull in their driveway and an ambulance is going to pull behind them. Yeah. And they're going to be like, what? And we're going to be like, what? We're here and this is where we're coming. And somebody's going to come running out like, hurry, save my baby.
Yeah.
Could you imagine that? So my thing is like if there's an ambulance or fire truck or a police officer behind you, do the right thing. Do what you're supposed to do.
So you never know. Now, Laura wants to go.
Because you never know.
Laura wants us to go back to EMT habits. I was thinking about the PA mic. When have you ever used a PA mic inappropriately?
Going past a cow pasture and going. That's what's funny is that they will look at you.
I've done that too, yeah.
They will all look up at you and like what the heck?
What'd you say about my mama? What? Yeah. I don't think I've ever yelled at a car or anything. My favorite experience was, again, in Atlanta, a few times the cops were where you needed them to be. Because it always seems like, right, like that guy who, he almost killed me, trying to cut me off to teach me some lesson that I have no idea. How am I supposed to know what lesson it is? You're in another car. But anyway, I'm sitting at a light, and all of a sudden I hear the cop. It's a standard. People do this all the time. They get in the turn lane at the red light, realize they don't want to turn, put their blinker on to try to cut traffic off. Right? Cop had Atlanta Police Department, APD was right behind them. And they went, I cracked up. They got on the PA like, oh no, that was your mistake. You will not make other people pay for your mistake. You will turn. And she went into this great lecture about how you're in the turn lane. You can go and turn back around. I was like, I wanted to get out of the car, shake her hand. I'm like, thank you. That was glorious. That was beautiful. Didn't light her up. Didn't threaten to pull her over. Just said, nope. This is how society works. You're in the turn lane. You will not make other people pay for your mistake.
Yeah.
That was great. What other happened? What are some maybe bad driving habits you either saw or picked up that you had to change yourself?
Driving too fast.
Yeah, I found myself. Although
sometimes when you get off shift and you're on the way
ready to go
home,
home, yeah,
and that foot's just a little too heavy.
I found because I used to drive a little Ford Ranger, and getting out of that Ford F450 or whatever truck front we had, and you hit the gas and it's still a slow takeoff. You get in your vehicle and you hit the gas the same way. I found, I had to tweak that. Although I got called Miss Daisy a lot. Although Miss Daisy was the one riding in the back. Because when I get to talking, I slow down. And I'd have my partners go, all right, Miss Daisy, let's go. Let's get something going. Because I'd be doing 45 and a 60 in the ambulance. So I'm not 100% focused on the road. So I found out like other people to drive so I can talk. Because I do that. Dude, I know we're talking about this, but this is one that maybe Laura hasn't heard. Gloves as dip cups left in the front of the ambulance.
Ugh.
Oh, I hate that. Hey, Wayne. Hey, there's another guy I'd like to interact with. Go ahead and give those thumbs up and those hearts and those likes. We need to get the word out. We're talking about today is Ask Us Anything about EMS. That is Emergency Medical Services. For those who don't know, that covers ambulance, which I'm a former medic coming back. Tom's a paramedic. We've worked together for a long time. That we can give some insight on police and fire, but we really are ambulance-based answers, more or less. But I just can't get into that mindset of who uses a glove to spit their dip in, but then leaves it and doesn't clean up behind themselves.
Children.
As a captain or the highest level directorship you had, I don't remember what that was. What did you do to discipline that or to fix that problem?
Make them pick up cigarette butts around the hospital.
Even the dippers?
Mm-hmm.
Because they left their trash and, I gotcha.
Oh, yeah, and they complained too. Go to Human Resources, and you know what the Human Resources said? Well, if it was up to them, they would have gave them a day off because there's supposed to be zero tobacco usage while on duty.
Right.
At all. So...
Yeah, so, okay, Laura, going back to the driving, she's in a rural area. She slows down for bikes and tractors as well. She makes sure she's never much of a hurry that they'll pass them on a blind curve where they can't see what's coming. Yeah,
don't do that. But I think tractors on the road have the right of way. There were some special
Depends on the
laws
areas.
about that area. But the bikes get on my nerves.
They
do.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand they have, a right to the road and stuff. But man, they'll be like in the middle of the road. And I'm like, get over so I can get around you. Because the fastest you're going to do is 10 miles an hour. And it's a 55 mile an hour zone.
Then you see the official places where it says share the road. They're not sharing. Oh, and you're a vehicle. You're supposed to abide by the law, but you run red lights. I saw a cop on a bike do that.
And on the wrong side of the road. They drive on the wrong side of the road. But I've seen them get tickets. And you can get DUI for a bicycle too. I've seen that.
I've seen a DUI riding lawnmower on the side of the road. BK, I think, did that one.
That's where I heard
that's the law, man. Because you can hurt somebody. There was a DUI-involved accident where it was somebody on a small riding lawnmower or something, but they were drunk, and there was a bicycle. And the bike. No, I take it back.
You can get a DUI on a horseback too.
She says apparently, like it was her friend that did that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
No, I bet she didn't get one. Laura, I've interacted with her for a while. She has a horse farm, I think, in Athens. Then that's apparently where she is. I had no idea she was that close to me. So, yeah, I imagine she wouldn't know that. No, my favorite was a bicycle. It was in Athens. Because Chuck Savage, who worked for St. Mary's, told me the story. He'd run it the night before. And a car was doing what they're supposed to be pulling out, some shopping center, and the bike just ran right into it, the bicycle. And the guy got hurt. The guy got a DUI. The bicycle got DUI because he was drunk as all get out. And he ran into the car. And he's like, you can't get a DUI. And I'm like, yeah. You can. Because it's operating a vehicle. That's anything with wheels that moves. Maybe not anything, but a horse didn't have wheels. Apparently, that's operating a horse as well.
Hunter's got a good question there
Okay.
for us. It's not a pain until, and his question is going from inactive to
it's
active status.
It's a pain.
Well, no, you're going from nothing. See, there's you don't have a status. You can, like, I'm inactive.
I matter. Hashtag I matter.
You matter.
Yeah,
Yes,
no, okay.
yes, you do.
So, okay.
But
I
he's
don't
still
understand this part. Tell me. Explain.
He's still registered. So
Okay.
you can be inactive and still be nationally registered. You're just not actively engaging in patient care. Or you can be active and you're actively engaging.
Okay. So, okay, go ahead. I'll
So-
explain my situation. But yeah, go ahead.
So when you're inactive, you do not have to have a medical director sign off on your registry form. And
Okay,
part of the
because you're not
registry,
doing-
the medical director is supposed to verify your skills every
Okay.
2 years. So as inactive, we don't have that step to do because we're not actively doing patient
Now,
care.
you're saying
So-
we. Does that mean you're currently inactive,
currently
but you're keeping it
inactive.
up? Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
but
okay,
I'm keeping
following
my
you.
but we have to keep the same continuing education and we have to pay the same fee. We just don't have a medical director sign off on us.
Okay.
Because I don't have a medical director to verify that I'm doing adequate patient care. I have a medical director as far as my instructional side, but it's not patient care related. So when you're going from inactive to active, all you have to do, there's a form that you have to get your medical director to fill out. You send that in, and they change your status. It just takes a couple days.
Does it cost anything extra? Do you have to
No.
send in a fee with it? Or anything?
Nope.
So okay, so my
At
situation
least
is
I
right.
didn't.
I have no sense. I didn't lose. I let it go really as fast as I could. I've got a torrid history with National Registry, but as soon as I got my medic and it wasn't required to keep it for Georgia, I dropped National Registry when I had to pay for it. I don't know how long I kept it, but basically as soon as I had to take care of it, I didn't. I let it go. So you're right. I have. What would I be considered? Because I was registered, so would I be
Expired.
formally expired? Is what I'd be. So yeah, I'm expired. So I had to redo my training. I had to challenge the test.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pain in the tail.
But inactive, you don't have to.
Okay. See, I'm working to get my active numbers, but I guess I'll be active for 2 years, and I'll be. How's that going to work, Tom? For me, so I'm getting my numbers back to teach. I'm not. Unless they pay me $1 million, I really have no desire to get on a truck for anything for patient care.
You're going to have to get your national registry
Right.
back, and then you'll get.
Will I be active or inactive at that point?
You'll be inactive.
Okay.
Well, your initial one will be active, but when you recertify,
It'll be
it'll be
so that's
inactive.
what I was wondering. I figured the first test they assume you're
Right.
active because you came out of a school, which is why I did the research class and I've done the PALS. We're getting ACLS, and then I'll be active technically.
Mm-hmm.
So then I can file as inactive after that.
After that, and
Okay.
after that, you need to keep your registry.
You and my wife. Holy crap! I will keep it.
And no problem.
And I'll look at my kids and be like, "Okay, you can't eat today. Daddy has to keep his registry. I'm sorry." Let's see what else we get going on. Okay, is there an option that's between lay responder with CPR class, but not as trained as a first responder? I'd like to get more training about concussions and head injuries, says Laura.
Yeah, there is a difference. There's a class you could take. You could just take CPR and first aid, Heart Saver CPR and first aid, and we do that here. So just let us know. We'll be glad to help you.
What about BTLS? Because she works with horses. She works with kids and horses. And
Is she an EMT?
no, not that I know of.
Yeah, you really
You
need
have to
to
be an EMT to get that? I mean, it'd just be good knowledge, it seems like.
Yeah, but a lot of it would be well over.
Or what she would need
Yeah,
or want to know.
Way
Okay.
over, way too in depth. But I think.
Maybe we start
know,
a new
and-
class, horse provider.
But the thing
trauma.
is, over the summer, I would like to do a what's called an EMR, emergency medical responder. It's like a 40, 50 hour class, which might be really good.
But that would be a first responder level,
Yeah.
right?
But it's only 40, 50 hours. So
What is
that's a
normal
week.
first responder? Or is that the whole, is that EMR? Is that,
EMR
okay.
is first
All right.
responder. So it's only about 40, 50 hours. So I think that would be a good option. Or you could do, because you do a CPR, first aid class. I mean, that's like 7, 8 hours. I mean, few more days, you get a lot more information.
Now that EMR class, is that going to be a hybrid class?
Not sure. Not sure yet. We're working on it.
If you could make it a hybrid class, I think you'd have a lot more interest.
I think
Like she's in
that's what
Athens,
the
which
plan-
is not that far, but with life and everything else, it might be
Yeah.
a pain to drive. But if you do most of it online,
Yeah.
which is your thing, that's your shtick, that's your niche.
Yeah. So she says she has CPR, first aid, AED. She's considered going EMT level, but that's more in depth than what she wants to do right now. I think EMR would be great because EMR is just, I mean, in a few days, and more than likely we would have a hybrid option on it. It's just we haven't did the lectures or anything. It takes a lot of production time.
We're
to
supposed
make
to start
it
doing the second level, the new textbook stuff too.
Yep.
I forgot about that.
here real soon.
Yeah.
But still, even at the 40 hour, I mean, it'd be like, we might do like 1 day a week, over several weeks to get it done and stuff. So, and that would get you, it's not so
question.
far in depth, like EMT would be, but
Right.
you would learn things like spinal immobilization because if you're dealing with horses,
I agree, Laura.
spinal immobilization, you get
Right.
that splinting, some advanced splinting techniques, recognition of head injuries and how to treat those. You would get that administration of oxygen, bleeding
And
control.
then that's something you could put on your whatever your marketing is, your sign for your horse. I know she does some classes and training with horses. I'm not in depth of what fully
Yeah.
she does, but she could easily put EMR or even emergency medical responder certified.
Yeah.
Which gives people a peace of mind.
Right. And Hunter asked, "Is there's a national registry
That's a
for
good
that?"
question.
And yes, there is. There is a national registry for it. You can take. There's people out there that'll pop up and will have like first responder classes and stuff, but you need to make sure that it is sanctioned by the state of Georgia and that the instructor teaching the class is licensed to teach it. So you will be eligible to take the National Registry EMR exam.
So theoretically, somebody could just teach an EMR class in Georgia, but not necessarily have it ready for.
You're getting really on a slippery slope there because there are some laws there. I'm just saying that.
That's why I'm asking.
people-
You said
people
specifically be
have
aware
done-
of it.
be-
So.
Because there have been people out there who've done stuff, and then they couldn't take the National Registry.
Yeah, she says that's what she's looking for, the major things. She teaches riders with disabilities, also lives in the country, just because skills to have. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Absolutely.
even going to learn about some medical stuff too, especially like you've got kids with some disabilities, they're probably going to come with some medical issues. So you're going to learn a little bit more about dealing with medical emergencies, trauma, the trauma stuff that we were talking about,
Yeah.
and so on.
Yeah, absolutely. I worked the horse park with National for a while. They do the standbys whenever the big shows are going on. There's a truck out there that stays for a couple of days, and one person mans it. And they're more or less the dispatch for the park. They're a first responder to go out and do the C-spinal mobilization and call in another truck to transport. But yeah, that was my thing. Was I felt like one person was ill-equipped. I get it from a business standpoint.
Right.
Because from a business standpoint, there are numerous trucks and responders in that area. There's only so much money you're getting paid, or they might not even be getting paid. It might be a community service, because National does a lot of that, is standbys for community service. So you're putting a vehicle out there that's powered and manned, and that's man hours. But I was like, and statistically, most horse shows, minor injuries or no injuries. But it's when that big one hits, I was like, man, all it takes is a kid getting kicked in the head or the chest.
But that's
And
a long.
I am not equipped to handle that by myself.
Really, if you think about it, if you're on top of some of these horses, that's a long fall.
Yeah.
Especially
yeah.
if the horse rears up and throws
Throws
you,
you.
because you go up even higher, and now
Right.
you have some velocity. And then what do you land on?
You can land on the horse, you can land on the ground. I mean, there's a lot of things
concrete,
you hit. Yeah.
or whatever. So
yeah.
there's a lot of things that could go wrong there.
Yeah.
And being EMR certified, at least, one gives you peace of mind that you could handle it. Two, you could use it as marketing yourself for like other jobs. Like if you're at least EMR certified and you're going to a factory to work, that goes in your resume. Hey, I've got this certification. You know, something
And factories
happens.
a lot of factories have their own first responders inside.
Yes, they do. Yep, and that helps. You know, so you know it's not a bad thing to have.
She says, "Don't start that list, please." There's so many way horse accidents happen. Yeah, absolutely, Laura, you're right.
Yep.
I gotta say the worst though. I've worked I worked one horse accident with BK. That's the vomit story that he drives me crazy that he wouldn't get near the vomit. But it was fine. It worked out, and that was a standard. The accident happened. She fell off, altered level of consciousness, but fairly manageable. We got her to the hospital. Everything was good.
Mm-hmm.
But the tragedy one was I was on shift, but didn't like the next day. So I helped deal with some of the aftermath. But it was a 2 or 3 year old kid. Grew up on the farm. Nobody was paying attention to where this kid was. And honestly, no judgment. That literally does fall into the bad parenting level of this. It had nothing to do with the horse. Horse, gentle as anything, but whenever something happened, made it kick, horseshoe print right over its heart, and he died. He died. Because of that level of instant trauma, it just wasn't sustainable. And that's what people tell me I'm hard on my kids, but I strive to always know where they are if I'm responsible for them. Always. The parking lots, everything. We still make we call it get in the zone. We started this when we went to Disney. When our kids, we only had 2 kids at the time, and they were 6 and 5. But one adult is in the front, one adult's in the back, and the 2 kids are in the middle. And if they stray from that line, they get told, they get yelled at, they get moved back. And now we have 4 kids, and the 2 little ones still have to hold hands because they're still just 5 and 3, and it's about. Even the store. Even with my wife, I don't assume she knows where they are. Dude, I got left so many places by my parents because they assumed the other one knew where I was. And I was a headstrong kid just exploring and doing things. Mm-hmm. You always have to know. And that may have been something that really pounded into me. Because I became a paramedic long before I had kids. I think maybe that's an EMT habit that I picked up was stay calm, but know where everything is and what's going on. Because scene safety, you go in and you don't know. If you ignore somebody who's running back and forth, that could be the end of you, man.
Yep.
That could go sideways fast. Which goes back to why you don't carry guns on the truck. But what about you, Todd? You've had many levels of children. With your family, did you pick up a habit from medicine that other people don't use in parenting?
Well, I know that I am anal about helmets.
Yes.
Riding
Why?
bike.
Is there one call that really stands out to you?
Not just one. Several.
That were head injuries because they didn't have a
on
helmet.
bicycles.
Yeah.
Bicycles. Everybody thinks, oh, it's just a bike. Well, yeah.
They're just right here in front of the house.
Tell that to at least 3 families that I have had to deal with in my career that are now childless because their kid didn't have a helmet on a bicycle.
I've only dealt with one directly, and it was in a trailer park. So the reason I bring up trailer park is not the level of living; it's how tight those roads are, and you just can't go that fast. And so they assumed it was safe because cars aren't going to come through here and hit the kids, which is true.
Yeah, but they do.
Well, they do. You're right, but there is a higher level. I mean, this one was. I mean, it was
right.
Physically very difficult to get fast enough to hurt somebody. But that's not what hit this kid. This kid wasn't paying attention, 6, 7 years old, ran into a brick mailbox, which is highly unusual in a trailer park, but it was there. And he had what I call Chain Stokes level of consciousness. Mm-hmm. Went from talking to asking looping questions to screaming to nothing. Repeat. And just cycled. And that was the first time in my life I saw on a person the actual pinpoint and blown people, all that jazz. And we flew him out. I don't know the results, but yeah, that call. I mean, if I wasn't hardcore about helmets before, I was like, anywhere. We have a basement in the house we're in now, and there's not a ton of room to skateboard or whatever, but we let them use it, especially on rainy days to get the energy out. Still make them wear helmets. Still make them wear helmets.
Yeah. I mean, Laura's asking about seat belts.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You know,
I was raised on seat belts,
yeah. So, you know, in my career, you know, and I hear the stories about, oh, if I would have had my seatbelt on, I would have died.
That's no.
Yeah.
No.
Hey, number one, you don't know that,
Right.
100%.
Right.
We don't. Two, I've never been in a situation where I've pulled somebody out of a seatbelt that would have died, that would have survived if they had it off.
Right.
You know, now
No,
I
okay,
will
yeah.
say that
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
had to pull.
I've had to pull a seatbelt off a dead body,
Yeah,
but
I've had to, but there was been no chance at all without. the
I will,
seatbelt.
and it's still not the seatbelt's fault, but I'll say this: when I did, the seatbelt killed the person because they were wearing it wrong.
Yeah.
Because they had it pushed. It was a female. She had it pushed where it wasn't obstructing her chest, and it was right on her neck, and she was leaning over. From what we could piece together, she was leaning over for cigarettes, or she had dropped a pack of cigarettes on the floor, and looked up. And when it head-on collision, the belt was basically around her neck in the position she put herself in, and it snapped her neck. I mean, even lacerated is open, the jugular. I mean, it was the seatbelt killed her, but it's because she was driving improperly and doing bad things and wasn't wearing it properly.
Right.
There's so many times seatbelts have saved lives. And for me, well, I say I was raised on seatbelts. Well, okay, I grew up definitely with Florida having a no seatbelt law at the time I was a kid. I remember the stories that people love to tell. My grandparents had a big old Cadillac type car, and they had a big rear window, and I could lay in the rear window and let them drive. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I survived, but it was dumb stuff. I remember going on trips with my family where they would put my sister laid out on the seat, and I'd have a bed on the floor, and it'd help entertain us. Still was bad juju. But the second Georgia passed a law about seatbelts, my parents were the type of people, we obey the law. So I practically grew up, because I was a teenager roughly when that law passed. And so from early teens on, put on your seatbelt, period. And it's just safe. And I do it now. Now, when I drive Lyft, I mention it to my passengers, but it's up to them. You know, I don't know where the law falls on that because I'm giving a ride. You know, like our taxi drivers held responsible. I don't know. I make sure I'm super safe, and I try to make.
But I think the law in the back seat. I don't think you have to have it. Now I'm not a lawyer.
My kids have it.
But I do know that if you're under age, it's a requirement. You have to be belted in. Children have to be belted in, but adults, I think, in the back seat are exempt.
I don't know.
And pickup trucks used to be exempt from seatbelts.
Well, that's because they were farm vehicle type.
Yeah, but I was like,
everybody drives a pickup truck now.
Yeah, like my pickup truck has not seen a farm.
Laura says her fiance is alive because of seatbelts. She wears them all the time. She stops the car if someone removes it. I've heard some EMS stories and just wondering about yours. Yeah, I mean, I'm the same. Is I will make adults put on a seatbelt.
Yeah, if you're in my vehicle, if you want to ride, you're gonna wear your seatbelt. I've had a relative tell me I'm not wearing a seatbelt. I don't believe in them. I'm like, well, we're not moving, and you're not riding in my vehicle.
Yeah.
Period. You know, you can ride in your own vehicle, but you're not riding in mine. Okay, whatever. And you know, like the huffing and puffing, it's like whatever. It's number one is respect. That's my vehicle. You know, that vehicle's an extension of my home. You know, you respect me in my home. But it's like this. I like to say this: if I took you to Vegas and I said, you know what? Look, if you go in this casino and 90% of people who use this technique win,
you would do it.
You would do it.
Yep. I don't get it. I mean, I understand there are some height issues, there's some weight issues, there's seatbelt extenders. You know, my wife's a little bit shorter, but she didn't seem to have any issue with it. Mm-hmm. My kids, when they were smaller, we put a little kid thing on to make the seatbelt fit their body appropriately so that they could go to the booster seat, which is easier to manage, but still be safe and have it fit appropriately. Mm-hmm. I cannot think, I've never experienced or talked to somebody personally, a medic, who was educated, who could say, no, if they had the seatbelt on, they would have died. I've never heard that story. I did used to go through defensive driving as an insurance class, And I've had state patrol officers back in the late 90s say, I've never cut a... No. I took a defensive driving class to get my insurance reduced because I didn't have CEVO 2 at the time. And the state patrol went, I've never cut a seatbelt off a dead body. I went, I have. He's like, what? Were you still cut an ambulance driver? I went, okay, yes I am, but that was offensive, dude. I was like, yeah, because that's a dumb statement. Don't say those statements. But the reality is they work. Mm-hmm. And why wouldn't you? I've been in a minor accident that would have been major if I didn't have my seatbelt on. I've been hit by a stupid airbag. And I call them stupid. They're safe. But it's stupid because it's one of those things like, who hit me? What the? You know, it's like one of those invisible things that all of a sudden you just got smacked. Yep. And you're pissed. And that's why I call them stupid airbags. They're really great. They really are. But have you been in an accident?
Yeah, but, I've never had an airbag deploy.
I've had it once. I mean, it's not pleasant. It really isn't.
Yeah, I don't want to. But any accident I've been in, I've had my seatbelt on and, been fine.
So, all right. Well, I mean, I think that's going to be our time for today. Thanks you, Laura, and thank Hunter and Brent and people putting in questions for putting that in. If you got questions, email us. I'm going to get it right. EMSU@GAIEMS.org. Mm-hmm. Got it. So EMSU, that's EMS Underground, EMS, the letter U, at Georgia, GAI Institute, EMS.org, GAIEMS.org. And we'd love to get those emails and have them prepped for the show. Of course, we do this every Thursday, and we try to shoot for 2:30, but sometimes, as in emergency medicine, things don't always go according to schedule. Yep. Sometimes we're early, sometimes we're late. We're right on time when you need us. How about that?
That's it.
So tune in. You know what? Subscribe to the Facebook page, facebook.com/Georgia, all spelled out, Institute of EMS, Georgia Institute of EMS. If you're watching this video, you can just follow the link right back to the page. People can share this. It'll still bring you right to our page. And do that too. Share this with your friends, your family. I'm all about bridging that gap between what Laura's talking about being a civilian who wants to know more, who it will help her family life. It will help her business. It'll help the friends around her without having to dive into the highfalutin knowledge of paramedic or doctor or anything like that. We're absolutely here to bridge that gap.
Yep.
And to help you, point you where you want to be. So share this with people everywhere. So, anything else?
Nope. Just check our Facebook page and our website out at GeorgiaEMT.com. That's Georgia, all spelled out, Georgia, EMT.com. We've got some upcoming classes coming up. We've got a 5-week accelerated accelerated EMT class. So check us out. I'm planning on doing some more information online. If you go to our Facebook page, you can see where I was kind of talking about it a little bit. I'm going to do another little segment maybe later next week or early next week about what we've got coming up over the summer, because we're going to have some 5-week classes, some 10 to 12-week classes, and our regular classes coming up this summer, and looking at doing an EMR class this summer. So let's get everybody in there that we can.
Yep. And the old adage, you can't help but think about it. The old adage is true. It's better safe than sorry.
Yep.
Yeah,
better
so
have it.
Be safe out
Better
there.
have it and not need it, and need it and not have it.
There you go.